Those are the brake drums. The aluminum brake drums is what you're looking at. The foam triggering. That's cool. 8-lug rim bolts to that large aluminum brake drum. And that was Pontiac. Was available in Pontiac in 1960 through 1969 model years. Only about $80 to $120, depending on what year it was. Not that expensive, but only on full-size Pontiacs, never on the GTOs, unfortunately.
And that wasn't an easy swap either. If you wanted to put those wheels on your car, you basically had to take a Pontiac and rip out the front end and rear end to get those 8-lug wheels on them. But boy, they were beautiful. They came with their aluminum drums, the whole spiel.
Yeah, folks, watch this green 429 Falcon 4-speed car. It's running about, I'd say 10 PSI in the slicks. It's fun to watch, but it gets kind of squirrely at the top end.
Watch it, Paul.
Second, dips third gear. Drag radials these days. There's lower pressure, the sidewalls move around, and it's a bit of drive.
All right, here are some more exhibition runners coming up to the starting line right now. Here are good-looking Chevelles, both with big block flags on them. Straight tires and Hoosier slicks.
Wow. They weren't that good.
You gotta love this Anglia. Of course, in every one of these that you see now, the driver is typically sitting in the back seat because the engine's stuffed under that little hood. Doesn't leave you much room for your feet. Little pickup truck gets the go-ahead. Can he hang on? Oh yeah, big time.
Watch the car on the right, he's squirrely too.
There's something just real street snaky about this Chevelle. It really looks like your grandmother's grocery getter, doesn't it? Way cool. And you... And it's a left-hand lane. Brookside takes Pete's.
There's that cool 63 Chevy Biscayne in white with the outboard headlamps deleted, air scoops in place, running tubes up to the carburetors, just like the old 409 match racers of Don Nicholson, all those guys.
I think that's Hayden Prophet driving that car. All right, we're in Street Rod Eliminator now. The 63 Biscayne and the Plymouth-ish coupe with a small block Chevy in it. Make sure he gets hooked up. And the left lane, Brookside takes it. Pair of good-looking cars. 4041 Willis coupe and a 1930 Model A Ford. Lane one.
Brian Michaud of Gardner, Mass. is the driver of that Willis, and he takes the win.
Nice looking. Also be a little overstaged, but we'll local guy. I think that's Rich Barker over in the fiberglass Willis, fiberglass Victoria rather, Ford Victoria in lane 2. Pontiac leads all the way down. I love the juxtaposition of parts on some of the rat rods. The wheels on that patinaed Model A coupe, just total juxtaposition. And the Model A coupe, 5-window style with a big block rat motor, sideways. Good doing. This boat roadster pickup now that's in the left-hand lane, staging lane, the Bay State Rattlers. He's been, I think, every one of the orange events, and he runs the wheels off this little pickup. Nice, clean, 5-window Model A, because all of them.
There's the is of Hubbardston, Mass. on that round.
Thank you, Steve.
Now I gotta go fast.
Ford, Chevrolet. Bad looking Ford Club Coupe and a Chevrolet sedan delivery, both from 1955. He missed the gear and he's still gonna win.
That sounds good.
How do you like, 59-inch Corvette or 27 Ford? Big block in the Corvette, small block Chevy in the Ford. Wisely hits the brakes and get the car slowed down and straight.
That's Steve Merrick of Stoneham, Massachusetts in the Corvette. He comes back for the next round.
Now you know why he's so good on TV. I love this Corvair.
Takes a team, takes a team.
Real sharp looking Chevy too, with a fiberglass hood, big block style, and a small block in the front of the Corvair. You know the Chevy 2 had to get, no way in hell he was going home and saying he got beaten by a what?
That's right. And that's David DeMela of West Townsend, Mass. in that Chevy 2, which will be coming back.
That's going to be the same guy that crashed a 34 Ford at New England Dragway about 15 years ago. That name's not that common. '55 Chevy and a '62 Chevy. The '55 Chevy's got 392 cubic inches of supercharged Hemi in it. Runs out of the Gloucester, Mass area. LeBaron Hazen is the owner and driver. It's also got a whole bunch of other real neat cars, including an Oldsmobile and a, can't remember all of them. Running in nostalgia class. The Chevy 2, I'm not sure what it has for power. Sounds small block, but you can never really be sure. But he makes it up? No, he does not make it up. The winner is the Chevy 2.
We'll have to play the
I love the looks of these cars. I hope you get your cameras out. Focus them on the starting line. The Minnesota Missile with a small block Chevy and the pickup truck. And you can see
And Keith Gotich of Berkeley, Mass. is the winner in the right-hand lane. He'll be coming back for the next round.
great job, great driving. Steve Kinsella. That's Steve Tinsell. He hangs around with that same crowd as the guy with the private '55 Chevy with the Hemi in it. Here comes Cody Sissel in that Sissel Engineering small block Chevy powered injected front engine dragster. Really pretty clean car. And the car does very well here in a 330, even though it was built for a track a lot longer. Yeah, we're still in Nostalgia Eliminator. This Auburn, Massachusetts-based GTO with a single 4-barrel, no longer has the triple carbs on it. Very clean dragster and runs as well as it looks. About an hour away from here, runs out of Sisson Engineering. Injected small block Chevrolet. Did he get a lead with that dragster or what? Let's see if he gets it stopped in time. Gotta get it wound down. Hey, he made the turn okay. That was
This
Looking kinda
48
tight.
Ford here, I love this car. Again, a cross-ram Pontiac under the hood of this one. This is an old-timer. This car actually ran here in Orange back in the 60s and 70s. Chevy 2 takes the win over the big Ford.
This could get downright scary out here. These guys are getting serious now.
What?
He's doing sideways on his burnouts. This Corvette is absolutely gorgeous, runs regularly, and the A100 does. Wheel speed,
It's Henry Stampful of Plainville, Massachusetts in the Corvette. He will be coming back.
They're getting faster now.
I got some more information on his dragster up on the line now. That's actually a Buick 350 engine. They told me it's got some small block Chevy intake manifold parts sliced up, valves from a Chrysler, and just a bunch of parts and pieces machined to work together. And that's a B&M supercharger on top of that Buick 350. Now we know.
A few minutes ago, you saw the fellow shut the racing down for just a moment while he checked on something, the guy in the Lawrence of Arabia hat. How many of you remember the E.T. Shaker from Connecticut? That's Ronnie Red-Headed Zavarella from Connecticut, up here doing some heavy-duty monitoring of the cars on the starting line and staging area. Everybody volunteering, we thank them so much for their help. Coming out now is the guy that won Nostalgia Eliminator here well, there was no last year, but 2 years ago and the previous year as well. Mark, I'm trying to remember his last name, Mark Keenan. And running against the Flathead Dragster is the Chevy-powered altered Fiat of Brady and Mahan. Jack Brady doing the driving. Jerry Mahan, his partner, is probably at Bowling Green for the NHRA Hot Rod Reunion this weekend. And here's Jack Brady's son, Patrick, coming out to help back him up. Jack has a hard enough time going frontwards. Really neat car. Yeah, those 6 genuine Stromberg carburetors, otherwise known as a hibachi. Mark Keenan and his buddies helping him save them. I don't think anybody else saw it but me.
I like this 55 Chevy. The hood scoop looks like it's exploding through the hood. They've cut the metal so it's like a jagged edge. Very cool effect.
Round 1 of Nostalgia is come and gone. Now we're moving into round number 1 of Heavy Eliminator. On the 55 Chevy, sponsored by Falfa's Speed Shop. Those of you that are American Graffiti fans, that might mean something to you. Got the wheel well cutouts and a whole deal like Falfa's Strip Tripper Chevy. That gives it even more of a car length width at the finish line. Ace Ventura in the right-hand lane, a purple Ventura, and a real fast-running Chevy Vega. Watch the Vega launch.
Henry Ebon takes the win in the Vega.
small block Chevy Vega panel wagon. Inner fender panels removed, the whole thing. 2 Demon carburetors sitting on top of a small block Chevrolet. Olds 442, stick shift big block in the right-hand lane. Oh man, you should hear the cuss words coming out of that Chevy Vega. He is swearing like you can't believe right now.
Yeah, that motor's heat soaked. He's trying to spin it over. The fan is just barely turning, so he'll
We're gonna have to back him up. I don't think it's gonna refire. He's having trouble getting it to crank.
Hi, I am here with one of the racers from the Sterling Drag Show. Can you tell me your name and a little bit about your car?
Hi, my name's Earl Story. I live in Westboro, Massachusetts. My car is a 65 Nova. It's actually what they call a first year funny car. It's and that's how the name came about with these cars. In 1965, they started altering the wheelbase, and for weight transfer, they take the back wheels and move them forward, and they would take the nose and stretch it for weight transfer. So that's kind of how the name of the funny car. This year is the 50th anniversary of that particular race car. Of course, they're a lot different today, and they're worth $200,000 maybe. This car I built, been out for, this is the 15th season. I built this at home in my garage. I used to race one back in the 60s. So it's kind of a fun car. Race mostly nostalgia races, all out through New England, Maine, New Hampshire, Lebanon Valley, New York, Pennsylvania, Jersey, whatever, wherever the show is. It's meet a lot of nice people. It's just a lot of fun. It's a hobby. You don't make any money at it, but it's a lot of fun. It's a good time.
And what classes are you in right now?
I'm in nostalgia class. That's the class I chose to be in here. I'm probably not going to compete today because I'm probably going to make another time trial because my car's got so much power it just overpowers the track. I'm used to being on a track that is prepped for drag racing, and this track really isn't. So, but just fun being up here with everybody. We started drag racing, all our buddies, at Orange Dragstrip, and this is the Orange Dragstrip reunion. Of course, that track was in Orange, Mass, and we all started there, and a lot of us started there in the 60s, and this is like a nice time to all get back together. You don't see each other, so that's kind of just a fun day.
And can you tell me a little bit about your engine, like the horsepower and about the torque?
Well, the engine is a 427 Chevrolet. It runs on methanol. It has mechanical fuel injection on it. It has a magneto for the spark. It's probably around 550 horsepower. It has an automatic transmission in it. It's basically old school. It's the same technology you would see back in 1965, 66. There's nothing late model or new technology on this car. It's all old school.
Well, thank you for telling us a little bit about your car, and it was nice talking to you, Earl Story.
Well, thank you very much for the interview.
Automatic in the Nova, standard shift in the 55. Goes down the other end, but the Nova catches him just before the stripe.
That's Darren Hall of Keene, New Hampshire, who sends Stefan back to Canada.
Darren Hall was the winner in our race. Just came down across the border from Keene, New Hampshire. And yet another Nova wagon, Vega wagon. Why do I keep calling them Novas? That's wrong.
Matt Coco in his Nova from Lawrence, Mass. gets sent home. And again, this is heads-up drag racing, so the cars are not always perfectly matched. We can't really have the time to do the bracket race thing here, but hey, that's heads-up drag racing for you. Big satellite wagon versus the Chevy 2 on the line now.
This is kind of the way that some of the, if you want to call it nostalgia racing, is getting they're turning to index racing, where you decide what index group you want to run in. Say you're running an 850 index. Well, there's no handicapping. The guy who runs closest to 850 and gets their first win. It's kind of a step back from the bracket racing. It's become so prolific and kind of not as much fun. How's that for a burnout? That's your basic cheap and dirty burnout from Zeke Design. And a really slick 59 or 60 Corvette, 60 I'm guessing.
Justin Blake in the cheap and dirty Signet out of Winchendon, Massachusetts.
Corvette stays ahead all the way to the finish line. He'll be back. I just love 66 Chevy Novas. They are the 55 Chevy of the future.
Yeah, pretty cars.
What a good race that was. That had to be really close out of the stripe, Steve.
This is Gary Rice of Rutland, Mass. in this insane supercharged Camaro. I love the sound it's making, the whistle, off it goes. He's just taking it easy right there. That's a small taste of what it can really do. But on a buy run, there's no sense of wasting the potential of hurting something. So he makes the automatic rounds for the next race.
And he was lucky enough to get the bye in that first round, so he's got to win it. He'll definitely be back. Now we're moving into Muscle Car Eliminator. This is the first round of Muscle Car Eliminator.
Anthony Rossetti in the Nova in lane 1 versus Tom Swan in the Brookside Equipment Mustang in the Pete's Tire Barn lane. 428 versus 350.
The Mustang running out of Brookside Equipment. With two 12-barrel carbureted 428 inside that beautiful green Mustang, but it's not going to bring him back for the next round. How about a classic Ford Chevrolet race? The Fairlane 500 in lane 1 with a 427, maybe, and a small block Camaro from 1967 in lane 2. If that Ford wasn't screaming 8,000 RPM, wow.
One angry small block. That's cool. Sounds good, man. James Crandall in the Oldsmobile from Whitensville, Massachusetts. Car 121 in the Pete's Tire Barn lane versus car 112, Ware, Massachusetts, Mike Ebert.
He's becoming much quicker, and he's down to the finish line, and he'll be back for round 2 of Muscle Car Eliminator.
Gary Richardson in the Pontiac Firebird, car 102, up against an unknown Dodge Dart.
That's your favorite Dodge Dart with the wiggly bumper. Lightweight package.
Oh, that's Billy French from Petersham, Massachusetts. And Billy French takes the race.
Hi, I am here at the Sterling Drag Race, and I am going to ask about this man's car and what kind of engine it has.
It's a small block Chevy with dual quads. 1972 vintage. I built it specifically to drag race.
And what class are you in today?
Heavy eliminator.
And what is a heavy eliminator?
Well, it is strictly a race car. It's not street legal. It's specific for this event.
Okay. And what about your engine's horsepower and torque? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's about 640 horsepower, 550 foot-pounds of torque.
Wow. Okay. All right. And how do you feel about the track today?
Well, I got one run in so far. It's still a little slippery at first. I changed the tire pressure a little bit. I'm going to go give it another try.
And can you tell me your name and how often you race and where?
Yeah, my name's Dave Janoskis. I'm from Cape Cod. I race at this event. I go to New England Dragway. Basically, those are the two venues that I like to go to.
Another classic Ford Chevrolet deal. Only because it has a warm spot in my heart, the GT500. It came with a 428. I used to call mine a pig motor, but a high torque, low RPM, big block Ford. Running in this case against a 67 Chevrolet Camaro with probably a 327 in it. Way away. Chevy seemed to be catching him, but not enough real estate here for him at this race. This time a big block Camaro in lane 1, 396, against a six-pack Super Beat Dodge Charger in lane 2. Six-pack usually means it's a 440, but not necessarily. They put them on 340s as well. Camaro got a little squirrely down the other end. He actually had his brakes on before he hit the stripe, but he had enough going to win the race. And yet another mid-year Camaro, this time a 69 Camaro.
Chris Martin up against Charlie Poole, both Chevrolets. Camaro's got a supercharger in place, although it looks like it's running on some pretty small drag radials. Will it hook up? Let's see.
Camaro recovered a lot quicker. This is right up your alley, Steve. A tire-burning, fire-belching Dodge Dart.
Yeah, all Mopar race, both A bodies, an early version, the later version, and that 68 two-door post is one mean-looking sleeper. Mini tops, a lot of traction. I think that car's going to take it.
Wow. A great hole shot, but it wasn't enough. He's going to have to be a little more awake the next time.
Slept on the line, but the horsepower brought him around, and he'll be back for the next round.
And yet another Mopar. You must have brought the whole family with you today. Love those Barracudas. It's such a pretty car, way ahead of their time when they came out. A lot of tires. Can he recover? Yes, he did recover in time. Wow, that was close.
Chris Shays in the Camaro. He's out of Auburn, Massachusetts, versus Kelly Renzi from Leominster, Mass. in the Cheyenne pickup truck.
For a pickup truck, this gets off the line very, very well. It's so hard to get good bite in a car with 110% of its weight over the front wheels. But this truck works pretty well. Let's see what happens against the Firebird. I guess I kind of jinxed the guy. A little primer Chevy 2 in the right-hand lane, the Pete Tire Barn lane. All set up, got a full cage inside the car, strut bars, ready to go racing. Street legal big block Chevelle in lane 1. And there you see what happens.
It's Don Tardif in the Nova. We'll be back for the next round.
There's that 460-inch Mustang back again over the Pete's Tire Barn lane. If he can get that hooked up, watch out. The Oldsmobile 442 with a standard shift in the Brookside lane. short shift in the Mustang. He actually got it into third gear before he hit the finish line. And of course, he won very handily.
Matt Clark in the GTO from Heath, Massachusetts versus Robbie Ober from Hamden, Massachusetts in the Fairlane. Fairlane comes out ahead.
Good race. Again, sponsored by Pete's Tire Barn.
Russ Blake in the green Challenger up against Justin Hill of Halifax, Vermont in the El Camino.
I hope you guys are taking pictures during the course of the day. Who knows when you'll be able to see cars like this going side by side down a drag strip again. They're either getting crushed or legalized out of business. This is so cool.
Nick Daigle's Nova from Spencer, Massachusetts takes the win. He'll be back for the next round. Buick and a Chevelle on the line now.
Of course, the other reason you should be taking pictures today is Stephanie. Stephanie, of course, is our starter out there. She has been out there all day. You guys are sitting on your butt, all complaining and tired. She's been working her butt off all day long. We're happy to say that she hasn't worked it completely off. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Doing a great job.
Thanks. What a class.
Nearly went up and over.
That's a good race. Both cars on drag sticks, both cars hooking up and body on frame. General Motors A-body cars, both of those were. They look very different, but they actually share the same frame and general construction. The Chevelle and the Buick Skylark. Cuda and Camaro coming up here, 71, purple car, clone, born in 318. Now got a 440 in it, 67 Camaro.
Steve, why do you suppose it is they're taking pictures of the starter and they're not taking pictures of the announcers?
This is Rick Howard from, appropriately enough, Plymouth, Massachusetts, in the Plymouth Barracuda.
We're back into exhibition runs now. We've completed the first round of Muscle Car Eliminator, and half of them will be back to run in the second round of Muscle Car Eliminator. Meanwhile, right-hand lane, an awful lot of right-hand tire spin, and we'll continue on with some more, we'll call it exhibition runs, tune-up runs, time trials, so that these guys can maybe get a little better handle on their car for the next event they go to.
And keep in mind, if you don't make it, if you're eliminated during the eliminations, you can jump back in line and continue to play along in time trials. Straight axle Chevy Nova in the Pete's Tire Barn lane versus a really cool, sort of a street rod, lightly modified 53 Ford F100 in the Brookside equipment rental lane. Both on street tires, street radials, so I'm not going to guess a lot of traction. It's going to be about horsepower here. Very even match so far, and they're with the Nova just taking the lead by this 55 Chevy has got a big old Chrysler Hemi. It reads unstable on the quarter panel. What a neat gasser.
I think he named that 55 Chevy after everyone here. Unstable.
That was
There
hairy.
goes another set of tires on the pickup truck.
That was hairy.
A little overstaged here in the 55 Ford.
I was ready to bail on that one.
And there's that fun-loving Corvair over on the other side. He must have an awful lot of fun around midnight. I wonder if he goes down to the 405 guys you see on TV. You know, Wally's buddies, the 405 guys in Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, Street Outlaws. Oh yeah, those guys, right on.
Let's see if he's got a little bit of traction deal going on now in the A100 Dodge. There's a little Ford pickup with a small block Chevy in it. It does pretty well. She's got a big ass set of Hoosiers under the back of it. Giving the guy in the Dodge a chance to get it restarted. I think I hear it still cranking in there. Yay! Now that sort of thing doesn't throw your concentration off too much, does it? Poor guy.
I am interviewing some of the drivers, so can you tell me your name and a little bit about your car, please?
I'm Jack Brady. I'm from Cumberland, Rhode Island. This is a 1948 Fiat copy body, and it's the car represents a 1962 B altered, right, which was a class in NHRA drag racing, and we've done our best to replicate that. Right?
And what class are you in today for drag racing?
I'll have to check. Yeah, nostalgia eliminator, I believe. Right? We're just out here to run, right? Get in as many runs as we can.
And where do you race and how often do you race?
About once a month during the busy season, and we run at New England Dragway, here of course, and sometimes Lebanon Valley Dragway.
And can you tell me a little bit about your engine, like horsepower and torque?
Yes, it's a 1968 355 Chevy motor. Approximate horsepower is 400 horsepower.
That's a pretty powerful car you have. All right, so thank you for interviewing with us, and it was nice to meet you and talk to you.
Big satellite station wagon, back to the line. Lots of weight transfer versus the Anglia, or Thames, whichever one you want to call it. Small block powered orange peel versus the small block powered wagon. Wagon takes it.
More power action. These guys haven't been eliminated from competition. They're out here running for the fun of it or racing their buddy. These are exhibition runs right now. Second rounds of all the eliminators will be up in just a few minutes.
And the Signet gets around the six-pack, taking the win.
Couple of cars that look to be very, very well set up for the drag strip. Get the right suspension going on, get some serious horsepower. Dodge in lane 1, Camaro lane 2. Actually has a Dodge engine in it, but it wasn't enough to catch the Camaro.
Cheyenne pickup truck, short bed, half-ton versus 67 Camaro. Kind of a pro touring four-wheel disc brake. It's on radial, so we'll see if it hooks up or not. Pickup truck takes the win. SS 396, a 66 versus a Chevy Nova, roughly a 71, I'm guessing. As this Corvette launches, watch how the rear squats and the rear tires sort of camber inboard at the top. That's the independent rear suspension at work. It squats down. Well, with some slicks, it would probably hook up pretty well.
Another Cuda back on the line. This guy's been running the wheels off this red Barracuda. And by the way, it's a Barracuda. They did make a Cuda as well. And the only way you can tell the difference is the emblem that's on it.
I think the CUDA terminology from the factory didn't arrive until 1969 with the CUDA 340, CUDA 383, and CUDA 440 A-body packages, but people refer to them as CUDAs since pretty much the beginning.
Yeah, they were the spiffy models, and everybody called them a CUDA anyway.
It sounds better than Barra.
No, Barra is with GM now.
Barra, right?
Wow, where'd that come from?
It's obscure, but hey, car people get it. 5-window coupe. 67 Chevelle spinning his victory away. You gotta remember when you come to the drag strip, folks, you're gonna bring your tracks. Don't go ice skating without skates, right? This is the opposite of that. Bring slicks to the drag strip. Otherwise, well, just throw your victories away. But it's fun to watch.
Well, looks like we're moving back into Street Rod Eliminator. The beautiful 41 Willis with a small block in it, and probably a small block in the 63. And the guy in the closed cab pickup truck over there needs a little help getting back to the starting line.
And Brian Michaud from Gardner, Massachusetts, took that round in his Willys. He'll be back.
There he goes. He was trying to find backwoods in that little pickup truck. Now I got to get his window up so he can tell who he is. What? He has no windows.
We know for sure that the sedan delivery is owned by Clyde Villancourt of New Ipswich, New Hampshire, but the rat rod, we have no idea.
But it appeared to me the guy in the little pickup truck was watching his competitor on the starting line, not watching the starter. When his competitor left, he left.
Here's David DeMella from West Townsend, Mass. in number 88, the Nova, versus Dick Cook from Lunenburg, Mass. in the little open roadster.
Are we going to catch him? No, it's to pick up the Bay State Rattler.
Yeah, scratch that. That was actually James Derzius from Hubbardston, Mass. in the open roadster. James Derzius will be back.
You know, I bet if he was still alive, Mr. Duntov would appreciate what he's done to this Corvette. I think it's what Zora was after in the beginning. I wonder what year that was.
He's probably saving it for the next round. When you get a buy round, you know, it's a buy run, sometimes just take it easy, make sure it stays together for the next run.
I'm guessing by the gotch on the door, this pickup truck could belong to Steve Gottlich. He's a builder, built some really nice old school customs and hot rods. Over in the other lane, the 56 Chevy is from the Strokers Club in the North Shore, Steve Tanzella. Man, that pickup truck just gets it right on down the track in a hurry.
That's Cody Sisson from Northfield, Massachusetts.
From Sisson Automotive, Cody Sisson in the Dragstrip, small block Chevy powered with an automatical. Beautiful looking car, beautiful running car, and he's got it so it's hooking up right really well here on this 330-foot drag strip. Like I said before, make sure you wander through the pits and check out all these beautiful cars. You might get some ideas yourself. 62. Drags it just leaves, pulls, goes straight as a die, and gets the laundry out. No need for laundry at 330 feet, and he makes the turn. Always get nervous about a spindly front end like that, having to get on the brakes too hard and get that thing turned in time down there.
Henry Stanfield from Plainville, Mass. in the Corvette.
We're still in round 2 of Nostalgia Eliminator. Look at these cars. This is beautiful. Beautiful 58, 59 Chevy Coupe. I don't think they called them Novas. They were still Chevy 2s back then. The Corvette takes the win. And in case you came in late, you notice the sophisticated wind lights down there at the finish line. The guy who stands up and wags his flag first, that tells you which lane got there first. And this could be a single in this second session of Nostalgia Eliminator. This is a unique Buick powered. No, it's not a straight 8 Buick. They cut it down the middle and split it into a V8. But those old straight 8 Buicks, man, would they run great on a 330-foot track? The torque those things had, put the right gearing in it.
Yeah, one of those with the compound carburation, the big old Fireball 8, right? Then they had 2 1-barrels, I think, didn't they, in 1941 or something? One of the first factory twin carburetor situations.
I'd say one of those against a Hudson Super 6.
Even the Hornet, the 7X Hornet?
Yeah. Nobody here knows what the hell we're talking about.
The B&M supercharger on top of that Buick 350. Ollie 4-barrel sitting on top of the blower. A narrow drive belt. Oh, cool. 2 diggers. Nice. Got the flathead with the Hillborn fuel injection. Magneto.
This could be very good. There's the defending champ here in the flathead car. And the late model Buick gets there first. Good race.
Yeah, the flathead put up a good fight.
The defending champ will not be this year's champ. You know what was cool? From up here in our vantage point across this very rickety little thing we're standing on, Steve, I could feel the pulses out of the flathead exhaust pipes as he took off. Oh, it was great. A little nitro would have been better, but that was good. Now we're moving into the next round of Heavy Eliminator. That was the end of the second round of Nostalgia you just saw. Now this is round 2 of Heavy Eliminator.
Brian Bestkid versus Darren Hall. Darren Hall of Keene, New Hampshire takes the win and will be back for the next round.
Very utilitarian Vega in lane 1. Very beautiful show car quality Nova in lane 2. Both running in Heavy Eliminator. Heads up start. Whoever gets to the finish line first goes on to the next round.
on in the Vega from Marlborough, Mass. He will be back.
Still in heavy eliminator, Chevy panel wagon or station wagon, whatever you want to call it. And a real pretty Chevy 2 in lane 1. Dragging on the brakes, bringing it up to the line. A little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. That's good. Keep your eye on Stephanie.
Okay.
Is that one ever in doubt? Man, he'd launch off the line like Jack the Rabbit.
Okay. I haven't seen her yet.
And we're still in heavy eliminator, I believe.
I think we got one car, Byron. This is real missing. Oh, okay. This is a new track. I've actually got a version of this where I'm playing.
A bye run for the Olds 442, which means he can get on it hard if he wants to, or he can idle down the track if he chooses to do that, save it for the next round. Either way, he's going to win. It's an easy way home, no problem. He'll be back. Watch the big supercharged Camaro, the white car. If it hooks up. Walking down the track, he knew he had that power in the bag, and he'll be back for the next round. Yenko supercar, Deuce Nova, probably a clone, up against a 69 Dodge Dart. Small block versus a big block Mopar. Nova's on drag radials, the Dart is on a pure, that's a drag radial too, okay. 500-inch wedge in the Dart, unknown displacement engine in the Nova, probably a small block, but we'll find out in a second if it has what it takes to do the job. 4-speed in the Nova. Watch those gears. It'll be a lot of fun to watch the car jump around. The Dart takes the win.
Excuse me while I pleasure myself over this GT500 again. Pair of Fords, we get a guaranteed blue oval winner coming up. Muscle car eliminator. Flagman says it was the fair lane in lane 2, the Pete's Tire Barn lane.
That fair lane is cool. Stick shift, winding at 7,000 RPM. That's a nice sounding car. 427 emblems on the fenders of this 67 Camaro in the white lane. 350 emblems on the 69. Who knows what it really has?
How do you like your Camaro, Steve? Red or black?
I like them both.
Or blue?
You got the Dart 170 series two-door post sedan. A lot of folks don't realize that they made two-door post Darts. They weren't all hardtops. This one's a sleeper. It's been mini-tubbed, runs on some drag radials. Camaro has a supercharger, dual Harleys. But the big engine is not always the best engine. Let's see what happens. Dart speeds off the line. Dart gets it by a bender.
Could come from behind.
couple of cars are going to launch pretty well off the start line if you've been paying attention all day. The Chevy 2 in lane 2 and the Chevy Chevelle in lane 1. Chevy Chevelle really gets moving and he takes the win in lane 1, the Brookside lane.
James Crandall from Wrightsville, Massachusetts in the Oldsmobile. Robbie Ober in the Fairlane. Robbie's from Hamden, Massachusetts. Takes the win.
Was he on the
Surprise,
road?
surprise, surprise.
The engine was all breaking up.
That's
He
why we
still
go down
won.
the drag strip.
I wondered if he was on the rev limiter.
Still running in round 2 of Muscle Car Eliminated. A lot of cars in this category.
Nick Daigle from Spencer, Massachusetts in the Nova versus Anthony Palmieri from Leominster, Mass in the Mustang Mach 1.
Ford, Chevrolet. That Mustang was trying awful hard to catch up, but he couldn't do it. Chevrolet got a much better lead off the starting line. That did it.
That's Nick Daigle. He'll be back. Nick being from Spencer, Mass, right down the road from my home in North Brookfield, Massachusetts. It's a 427 Nova. Meantime, the El Camino will be back for the next round. This is a good race here coming up, folks. Watch the Corvette squat when that big block and the 4-speed send the power into that independent rear suspension. In the meantime, also watch this 429 Falcon 4-speed slither its way down the track on those slicks. Corvette takes the win. Nothing like a couple of rowdy 4-speed cars banging their way down the track. That's cool. A100 pickup truck, not the little red wagon. This is the little gray wagon versus the Chevrolet Chevelle 300 series base model. Some kind of a big block and a 4-speed. A lot of fun to watch this one too. And the 300 sends the little gray wagon home. '55 Chevrolet versus the sort of hot-rodded pickup truck, small block Chevy. Pole shot by the pickup truck. Can the Chevrolet catch it? No. Pickup truck running down and taking the lead and the win. 428 Mustang of the Brookside Equipment, the guys who are one of the sponsors of the event, versus the Signet, the 1966 Plymouth Valiant Signet. There's the orange peel Anglia versus a 66 Chevelle SS396. Drag radials for the Chevelle, Goodyear bias plies on the Anglia, but I think there probably is some good weight transfer. Let's see if they hook or not.
I want to see how many you can have. You'll see.
Yeah, 55 Ford Club Sedan. Very unusual. This is the base entry-level model for the Ford model year, with the top of the line being a Fairlane or even the Crown Victoria this year.
I'm going to see the Crown Vic.
Formula S was new for 65, included the 4-barrel 273, disc brakes up front. The stripe on the top was an option with the Formula S. Many people went for it, others didn't. This car has been restored. 8 3/4 rear axle is proper and in its place. I'm seeing a Krager small bolt SS rims. And keep in mind, Krager brought these wheels back out about 5 years ago. It used to be small bolt Krager mags were just about impossible to find, but they're back again. Pulling up to the line. License plate reads SS13H, and if you are in the know with your codes, that of course means that the vehicle starts with 13A, which is the prefix for the Super Sport. So that's a real deal big block car, not a clone. 4-speed transmission.
And a single time trial run apparently, see? Maybe he's gonna race the mini bike. When one car goes down by itself, you can hear every little thing going on between the driver and the drive line.
The little Chevy 2 yellow car versus the big Cheyenne pickup truck. Slicks on the Nova and standard street tires on the pickup truck. And up in smoke it goes.
From listening to those guys drive years ago, now you remember there were no air shifts, there were no clutchless transmissions, no Jerichos, none of that stuff. They were all basic car transmissions. And I don't think anybody was better than Ronnie Sox ever. He was so consistent and so good, run after run after run. I love watching this 55 Chevrolet trying to jump off the front axle underneath it every time he leaves the bleach box. Bleach box? Did I say bleach box? Wow. That's whatever, you can hear that, even though there's a car in the other lane, you can hear those clean shifts. Oh, it just brings music to my ears.
Straight axle Nova, 65, pulling the line here. It's actually a Chevy 2, not a Nova with the post, but hey, you know what I'm talking about. Versus the Corvair with the V8 transplant under the hood, up front.
Luggage probably gets wet. More exhibition runs as we continue on with time trials in between the upcoming rounds of Nostalgia Eliminator, Street Rod Eliminator, Heavy Eliminator.
Swapped with a big old shaker on steroids. Takes the win.
Now you notice the difference in the shifting from that Mustang that just went down to the pair just before, and how the speed shifting in the pair before was so much quicker from gear to gear than letting off the gas and grabbing the shifter and pulling it back in that particular run. Makes a world of difference, but you gotta know what you're doing and you gotta have the right equipment, or else you're gonna have a pile of parts.
That's true. Power shift is about a 10, sometimes a lot more, you know, but in some situations, a guy, if you miss a gear, well, the motor might go through the roof and there goes your block, you know, if you don't want a rev limiter, so. Supercharged El Camino.
He must have a lot of fun when he goes to the lumberyard to pick up some timber.
The Willis and the pickup truck hot rod. Willis running a small block Chevy, aluminum radiator, 4-barrel carburetor.
Watch the guy driving the pickup truck. Watch what he's looking at. This Roadster pickup runs great. Model A cab, kind of a halfway homemade pickup bed body with a small block Chevrolet, big block Chevy in the Corvette. Big puff of smoke out of the left bank on the pickup truck. Hopefully it was just smoke out of the cylinders and not head gaskets or stuff like that there. You know that's going to be a fun ride.
I've only driven one dragster in my life. I did the Frank Hawley drag racing school in Pomona about 10 years ago, and I drove a Supercomp dragster, rear-engine car, but what I found running 890s was the quarter mile goes by too darn fast. It made me think, I want to go to Bonneville. You just want to keep going.
You think the quarter mile went by too darn fast? How about here? Cody Sisson again in the Sisson Engineering small block Chevy powered front engine dragster and a small block Chevy powered. Same basic construction design, but it is no way a rat rod. The Buick powered Slingshot and the awesome 59-ish Corvette. Both real race cars. Both running in Nostalgia Eliminator. It's going to be fun to watch. They both leave really well if things go well. Could not catch him. Lightweight dragster typically will have an advantage if it doesn't leave with the other car, but not enough racetrack for the lighter weight to help. Here comes that turbocharged Camaro again. Love that sound. Remember when the Malakote brothers came out with a double B gas supercharged car, the first turbocharged national car? Wow, it was revolutionary a million years ago. Listen to that turbocharger whine. Wow, what a rush.
Yeah, speaking of original trivia, the Malakote brothers, the housing they used for that twin turbo setup was a Corvette fuel injection unit.
And Mr. Mopar, wasn't that in a Barracuda?
Well, you know, they had that engine in a Willis before they put it in the Barracuda. The Malakote, Jerry and Gary, like 61, 62, a Willys, small block, but they had a fuel injection manifold with twin turbos on it before the Mustang and the Barracuda. Dodge Darts. If you take a look at the roof lines, folks, you'll see that the burgundy car is a hardtop, the silver car is a sedan. And yes, Chrysler offered the Dart in both body styles in 67, 8, and 9, and they stopped at 70. They got rid of the hardtop for 70. Sorry, the Post. But here it is, both Dart bodies on display.
Top in the right-hand lane. The Pete Steyerbarn lane takes the win. Whoever came up with the term muscle car? I don't know either. You should never ask a question you don't know the answer to, but I don't know where that started.
I will say this, listen to this blue Fairlane. That's like a 7,000 RPM small block. It's just awesome to listen to. And it's a stick.
He short-shifted it because he's getting too much wheel speed, but just not enough racetrack for him to catch up.
Yeah, good point. It sounded like it bogged a little bit in second gear up there, but ordinary, that thing makes good music. El Camino versus Nova. In Spanish, that means no go. It doesn't go. I think this is a Siva. That's Spanish for yes, it does go. Siva. Four-speed Olds Cutlass in the Brookside equipment rental lane versus a 69 Camaro. Both cars on drag radials. John Durfee, the starter, lining them up, and up goes the flag. You can see around the. Here's a cool matchup: the base model Chevelle, the 300, and the base model Torino, as it were, the Falcon. Both four speeds.
What did they call the base model, son?
Tell me your name and a little bit about your car.
It's Robbie Ober. The car is a 67 Ford Fairlane with a 351 block bored out to a 385 with a C4 strip and street tranny. It's got a lot of other goodies in it.
Can you tell me a little bit about where you race and when?
I usually race at New England Dragway in Epping, and I race at Lebanon Valley in New York. That's my home track, is Lebanon Valley.
And how often do you race?
I try to go every other weekend.
And can you tell me a little bit about what's under the hood?
There's a 351 Windsor with a Holley 850 dual feed dual pumper. It's got a high volume Holley fuel pump in it. It's got a comp thumper cam. It's got a HEI distributor in it from Dead on Arrival, DOA. And it's got a 411 rear end. The suspension's been built in the front. It's got skinnies on the front, but we're now taking the street tires off and putting the slicks on.
And how do you feel about the track today?
The track is not very good because it hasn't been prepped and nobody's raced on it up until today. That's why I'm putting the slicks on right now.
All right, well, thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank you.
The Brookside car wins in the Brookside lane.
I just love this car. The drags. I love them both, actually. I mean, who wouldn't kill for a nice chop Model A coupe with probably a small block in it? but this flathead drags are all homemade stuff. All homemade stuff. It's just really, really neat. It's a tribute to hot rodding. That dragster is the guy's fire suit. But an awful lot of work went into building it.
Big root supercharger onto the hood of the El Camino. That Corvair looks like about a 61. Sedan delivery, feed gas. I love the hood scoop on that. That was actually taken from a Ford Super Duty truck application. And in fact, Pontiac also used that scoop on its Super Duty Catalina in 1963. So which came first, the Pontiac or the Ford? Who knows?
Still filling in with exhibition runs. You'd be looking all your parts up high in the air. These guys are just having way too much fun out here today. 55 Chevy launch is hard. Watch the front end come up. Semi-elliptic springs on a straight axle. Like I said earlier, just about every store has an Aubuchon hardware store. Farmers Paving, those guys have been great. If they can do this for us, you know what they can do for you if you need some of their work done. Brookside Rentals, Pete's Tire Barn, the Tie Rods Club. Uh-oh. I think, oh. That scared me for a minute. I thought the Corvette broke something in the driveline. John's looking down at the track surface. Oh, I guess everything is okie dokie. Is that the pickup truck again, the old Cheyenne? I can't see from here. And there he is, arising from the smoke.
Can you tell me your name and a little bit about your car?
Sure. Jared Bruyette, Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And this is the Tom Dunn Dragster. It was built in Rentham, Mass. in 1956.
And can you tell me a little bit about this interesting looking engine over here?
Yeah, the engine is a 46 Mercury. It's bored 3 3/8 and 3 3/4 stroke with an Isky Junior 400 cam.
And can you tell me a little bit about the horsepower of this car?
It's a whopping 140.
Wow, quite fast. Can you tell me where you race and how often you race?
We usually do 2 times a year up in Bangor, Maine. We go to Winniport Dragway, and that's our home track.
And how do you feel about the track here in Sterling today?
So far, so good, and everybody's having a good time. So.
Awesome, glad to hear it. Thank you very much.
A couple of years ago up at Oxford Plains, David Beard's race car sponsored a burnout contest competition. It was won by Cody Helger from Rhode Island. I tell you, this pickup truck could have been right in the mix of it. runs do you think this yellow El Camino has had today? Probably filled the gas tank up twice since he's been here. And the red Model A coupe in the other lane, probably pretty close to the same number. These guys are just having a great time. El Camino had to step off the throttle. Usually it launches like clockwork. The guys from Brookside Equipment, again, one of the generous sponsors of the event. Part of their team is that green Mustang 428 Mark 1 in lane, Pete's Tire Barn lane, and in the Brookside lane is a neat little 400 Pontiac Firebird. Sounds like a set of headers firing up back in the staging lanes. It's the Brady and Mahan Fiat. Alongside this really slick yellow Chevy Nova. God, those 65, 66 Novas, just beautiful. I think Jack Brady has made more runs in that Fiat today than he has in his entire life. Again, they're really having some fun with the car.
Yeah, this Nova here on the line is I'm not sure if it's a real L79 or not, but back in '66, the Hemi killer was one of these puppies with a 350 horse, 327. The power to weight ratio was actually equal to a Hemi Belvedere, and these were Hemi killers on the street.
And if it was a real L79, congratulations for racing it. If we had a Christmas tree, it probably would have been a red light. How he shifted through it, the rear tires are spinning. He grabbed that stick, yanked on it, short shifted it, got it in second gear, and it still kept spinning. But if you can see down on the track, you notice how much blacker it is where the cars have been running. And the big time guys, they call that the groove. And the more rubber down there, the easier it is to stick. Your tires will stick better to rubber on the track than they'll stick to the asphalt. That's kind of like taking a Band-Aid and sticking it to another Band-Aid. You know how hard it is to get them apart? So the more rubber on the track and the fresher it is, the better these cars can hook. So if we kept doing this till Wednesday, you'd see some horrific starts.
The first 100 feet, you know what I mean? So this ain't so bad at all. The traction's here, the cars are winding up, they're hooking up, and about 80% of the fun of a quarter mile as far as I'm concerned.
And I don't want to jinx anything, but so far as nobody has given up the ghost and spread their parts all over the racetrack.
That's true at the top end. All that happens is the cars get small and the engines start blowing up, you know? Skip that stuff. Just go 330 feet. It's all good.
All right, you are, Steve.
Camaro versus Nova. Both running on drag radials. I take that back. The Camaro's running on a good old-fashioned drag slick. The Nova is running on a drag radial. The track is hooking. There's plenty of rubber down there, so this ought to be a good match.
Gotta keep it in the groove. That front tire of that Nova looked to me like it cleared the asphalt by a fraction of an inch.
Yeah, one ant got a lucky day. two Chevelles, these guys are buddies. They go racing a lot. There's a small difference aside from the vinyl top. If you look at the car with the vinyl, the emblem on the front is black, 396. The hard top with the red, well, that's a red emblem. That's a 427. Little difference there. Now, of course, they never did build an SS 427 Chevelle, but a lot of guys did.
And here's yet another, Steve. We continue on with time trials while we wait for the next rounds of the 4 eliminator categories to come back to the staging lanes.
This just doesn't seem fair. Supercharged El Camino versus the low deck 383 powered 65 Dodge Dart. Although this Dart has a lot of hot rodding, high compression, so don't write it off, even though it's not a supercharged car. Gil, what does GTO stand for?
Steven, come on. Gran Turismo Propagato.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the great one.
Or good till October. I used to explain that to my Uncle Rocky so he could say it to me in Italian. It sounded so much better.
Gran Turismo Homologato, Mr. Robato. Shoot Axel Nova, dump pipe equipped. Biscayne, I hope there's a 409 under the hood of that white car. I hope there is. That'd be nice.
Love the look of those original American 5-spokes.
Strip tripper gasser with a 327 small block. I love the cutting on the hood there, just like the motor's exploding out of it. That's kind of cool, raw edges. Olds 442. Automatic transmission. Olds takes the win.
My son had an 04 Cobra, one of the Mustang Cobras, the exterminator motor. He drove it from Florida up to Georgia, to Commerce, to the Dragstrip up there, with the AC on, got 20 miles a gallon, ran in the mid-10s, drove it home. And he blew the doors off my big block Roadster.
That's the wonders of supercharging. Speaking of which, keep your eye on this Camaro.
And more time trial exhibition action as we get towards the semifinals and final rounds in the eliminator categories.
Like this GTO, it's a factory 4-speed car with the Endura Flex nose. The front bumper has the rubber urethane coating on it. 4-speed car, 400 cubic inches, 350 horsepower, the great one.
exhibition runs, but we also are getting near final rounds. These will be exhibition runs, 442 Oldsmobile and the big block Mopar. 383 cubic inches of wedge Mopar, 400 cubic inches of and more exhibition classes as we get towards the finals. Real pretty 69 Camaro, been running all day, and an equally sharp goat.
If you don't have it, grab Pet Sounds and listen to it. It sounds new today.
The Pet Sounds album and the session for that is featured in this movie, because that was Brian Wilson's like next step. What else can we do to make things neat? And the guy is still a genius. That of course is Cody Sisson from Sisson Engineering and the Dragster, and at lane number 2 in the yellow and flame Corvette. This is for all the marbles in Nostalgia Eliminator. And the Corvette kind of coasts across the finish line first. A sharp leave and then a bobble. The dragster don't know what was going on with Cody Sisson. Either a car problem or a wrong gear problem or some, well, who knows. What we do know is he's going to be the runner-up and the Corvette is the, no, I'm told no.
You're going to rerun it?
Rerun. We are going to rerun the final round in Nostalgia Eliminator. And coming up to the starting line right now could be the muscle car final. Both cars, yeah, this is the 4th round. Beautiful 67 Chevelle against an early 70s Nova. Chevelle really gets off the line well. Did the Nova catch him? I don't know. No, he did not. The Chevelle stayed ahead. But man, that had to be awfully close at the stripe. Wow. Henry's bad black Vega and Viveros in the multicolored Vega panel wagon. This should be for all the marbles in heavy eliminator. Viveros in the wagon gets there first. We can all see that pretty clearly from here. Good race. And both cars make the sweep. Congratulations to both of those cars. Winner and the runner-up in heavy eliminator today. Got some more time trials coming at you right now while we wait for a street eliminator and the rerun of Nostalgia Eliminator. Now the guy in his 70 Camaro gets more serious every run. And he's going to get that turbocharger spinning until you can't hear yourself think anymore. Watch how squirrely he gets down near the finish line, because that's when the turbo really starts to pull.
Very close race.
Nice and straight that time. Crossing crossing the starting line on his burnout is Cody Sisson. He's in the one-engine dragster. And in the Corvette, Henry Stemple, a beautiful flaming red and yellow Corvette. He made his burnout. He'll stay behind the starting line on his burnout.
Henry's from Plainville, Massachusetts.
Two beautiful cars, one with doors, one without doors. Final. Oh man, was that close from here? And it says the dragster, Case Sissel. I date myself again. Cody Sisson in lane 1 takes the win. What a close finish that must have been. Final session of time trials exhibition runs is underway right now.
69 C28 with a cowl induction hood, a fiberglass reproduction. They were never that tall, but that's just a really cool looking piece, and it clears the tunnel ramp, high-rise intake manifold underneath it. 383 power Dodge Dart.